Hey everybody, what is up? So this week it's a little bit different format. We're traveling, taking a little bit of us time, visiting some family. So you see different backgrounds, different stuff. The format's, like I say, a little different. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Maybe the format might stick. I don't know. I might continue to do this depending on feedback from you guys. But I still want to get out this week. Really, what I want to chat about. And just some thoughts around money. There's a lot going on right now across the nation when it comes to money. There's a lot of stuff that is happening that I'll probably do a few videos on, just about people and relationships with money and some very public things that are happening right now with different relationships, things like that. I'll probably post later. But what I want to talk about today, uh, we're visiting my brother-in-law. This is Debbie's brother and his family. It's been great, and you can hear like there's some background noise. They got this really cool hot tub that has this cool water effect into their pool. It's warm here, so it's all going, and you hear that you probably hear a little bit of static in the background. Um, and that's just water. It's really cool to sit out here, just like this cool natural waterfall that they have. So it's really nice. Anyway, so we're here, and um, he's bought since the last time we were here some of these virtual reality headsets. They're really cool. Like the first time I think I'm a computer techie kind of guy, right? I follow technology. I keep up on the trends, and this virtual reality stuff's been around for a few years. Um, and as time goes on, like all technology starts to become a little bit cheaper and easier to get, and more affordable and easier to access. Um, so he has a few, and a few weeks ago he was at our place, and if you go to our Cast and Courage channel in the next few weeks, I'll post a video of Debbie doing like a virtual reality video that was like Jurassic World, and it was really cool. It's really immersive. I really enjoyed it. Debbie, with all her imagination, it's a pretty fun watch to watch her reaction because it's not like super chill, just like um, she was very much involved in what was going on. And I started thinking about that. So we're here down again this weekend, and we have more time to spend with them. And so the kids have shown me other games and things that they have on those VR headsets, and they're really cool. Um, and it's really cool to get immersed and involved in the world that they're creating inside these goggles, right? And it's a headset that goes over your eyes. And as you turn your head left or right, it's a 360 view, right? It's all angles. Um, and it's very responsive, right? It really feels like you're in this different world doing these different things. Um, and they call it virtual reality, but it becomes very real. It is reality. Um, and I started thinking, I'm like, when it comes to money, when it comes to what I teach, right, the attitudes of money and money stories and money relationships, um, it's been very interesting, kind of the juxtaposition of like what virtual reality does for our world, and in a lot of cases it's not real. But there's this one game where these things are flying at you, you got to dodge them. You're actually like, I don't know if you actually have to move, but I was moving, right, and pretty soon I hit like this boundary. You set up a boundary before you do the games, and I'm like, I knew in the room I was in, like my boundary went up right against the wall, and I got close to it. I'm like, oh, the little indicators say, hey, I'm at my boundary, and there's a wall. There's like a physical wall there, even though I can't see it. There's just these blocks that can't be seen outside the virtual world, but they're there, still physical in the physical world. But the virtual world is so real that it feels like that's where I'm actually at. Even though there's these barriers and things in the real world that would stop me from moving much further, or I'm going to get injured because I'm going to run into a wall. There's stories of that where people run into walls, or there's one story where there's a ping pong game where this guy gave it a 5-star review because he literally like was so engrossed in his ping pong game that he went to do like a table lean, and he went to lean on the ping pong table, except for it's a virtual reality, right? There's no ping pong table there. So he like fell into his kid's drum set. So we live in these worlds, right? And when we look at the reality of the world and what we live by, there's a lot of parallels with these virtual reality games, headsets, that our perception of where we're at is the most important thing to us in that moment, right? It's our perception of the truth. It's our perception of the world, what's there. If we're not conscious and aware of what's going on, then it can feel very real at all times, even though it's not always the case, right? So when I talk money stories, when I talk about money relationships, it feels very real of what's actually happening, where we're at in our lives. And sometimes we need that person who understands that it's not reality, it's just our perception. It's the realness that we're living in at the moment is really not 100% true. And that things can be different, and things are different. You know, and that's why I hire coaches, right, to show me where those proverbial walls are that I can't even see. Right, so I can stay a little safe and not wreck my face on on a wall that I can't see because I got these goggles over my eyes, but that I can still experience. You know, and those coaches to pull the goggles off and be like, hey, you know, this is not the real perception of what's going on. There are other possibilities. Because while using the VR goggles and playing the games are a lot of fun, right, it's not reality. There's a whole world of different possibilities and different structures and different things in place that will serve me or keep me kind of stuck where I'm at, or, you know, just lots of different use cases there. So it's fun to be there, right? And it's our perception. We can have a lot of fun in it. If we don't take those off sometimes, we can get a kind of twisted view of reality. So when we're looking at money in our stories, I want you to start paying attention to what's actually happening. What are the real stories? What's the real truth? Because most of the time it's just an interesting story, and that story that we tell ourselves so that we feel justified in where we're at. So we feel justified in why we don't want to change, why we don't have to change. Because life's tough. Life's rough. Right? And we're just going to play into that. All these things happen to me. I can't make any money because, well, money's just hard to come by, right? Every time it comes in, it leaves. I can't build my business past 10 million because every time I get to that point, then things happen. So as soon as you start to approach that amount, then something's going to go wrong. I've talked to plenty of people who were in the corporate world making over six figures, and they start their own businesses, and they start to approach that. They start to get a little scared and stop. Right? There's some trauma around money. And it's not intentional. Most of the time we're not even aware of it. But if we can start to understand what that is and ask ourselves, is this the truth of what's actually happening when it comes to what we're making and what our relationship is with money, what our earning potential could be, what our ideas are, then we can start to challenge those thoughts, behaviors, and feelings that are keeping us stuck in the action that we continue to take. It's a simple formula, really. And a lot of times we can't see it because we're living it. And we need someone to just like reach over and take those goggles off proverbially, right? And then say, hey, listen, there's a whole world out here of different possibilities that you couldn't even see before. Because our stories, our truths feel so real that it's hard for us to see anything different. It's hard for us to move past those points of where we are so we can see a new horizon. So, just kind of interesting thoughts this week, right? As this VR stuff's really cool. If you haven't ever done it, I would highly suggest. It's a fun experience. At the same time, don't let that be your life, right? Where you live in a place of this is all you ever see, right? Is that perception that you either built yourself or were given. And a lot of times it's just that we're given this, right? These stories that we have. So challenge them. Start to think outside the box. And if you don't know how, well then it's time to hire somebody who can help you. Because if you want something bigger than where you're at, then you're going to need to do something different today than you've ever done before. When it comes to money, a lot of times it's changing that relationship, thinking differently about it, thinking of it actually as a relationship instead of just thinking it as a means to an end, because it's really not. And as long as you treat it as a means to an end, then you're always going to get the same results you've always had. And it doesn't mean you're not going to make money, right? You can make money, but there will be a ceiling at some point that you will crash into. And you're going to burn it down, and you're going to start over and go do something else. Because it triggers stuff inside you don't want to look at. So it's time to start looking at that. Because if you really want to make the true impact that you really want, then you got to do something different. So anyways, thoughts for this week. Really look at, which attitudes are you struggling with, what that perception is, and what the story is that's coming up for you. And it's time to challenge that. So I encourage you all to challenge the story and find a new view of it. And if you need help, well, then it's time to reach out to me. And let's figure out what that looks like. So until next week, I'll chat with you later. Bye.